My name's Steve Maruzzi. We're back at the iTech training facility to talk about combustion setup on the FT boiler. For starters, I'm going to power the boiler up. I will wait for the display to synchronize. Okay, with the display synchronized, you can now see we have 95 degrees. That is our water temperature currently in the heat exchanger. You'll also see down in the lower left corner is the outdoor symbol for the outdoor sensor. If you're doing combustion setup and you do have an outdoor sensor hooked up, my suggestion is to remove one of the wires from the outdoor sensor. That way we can lock the boiler into high fire. Now with one wire removed, if you look at your outdoor symbol, you'll see the outdoor sensor now flashing. That's telling us that it's disconnected. We will also need a call for heat. Prior to the call for heat, you need to set up your combustion analyzer, get all your equipment ready to go, and we will then give it a call for heat. You'll also need to remove the test plug on the top of the boiler. I'll reach up, unscrew the test plug, and set it aside. That's where your combustion analyzer will be placed. Next, I'll need to give it a call for heat. For this demonstration, all I have is a jumper wire, so I'm going to jump out TT. That gives us a call for heat. If you do have zone type heating, multiple zones, please turn on all zones. That way we get a good run time, especially when you're locking that boiler into high fire to check your combustion. Okay, with the jumper installed across TT, the boiler goes into a quick pre-purge, and now it'll attempt to fire. Right here on the screen, you'll actually see a flame signal. That means the boiler's actually fired. You can also look in the sight window, and you should see your flame pattern. So we want to lock this boiler into high fire or max fire. That way we can check the high fire CO2 setting. So I'm going to grab my analyzer. Now that we have the combustion analyzer ready to go, I'm going to install it in the vent. Now we're ready to do our test. The boiler's firing, our analyzer is on. We'll measure our combustion, which we go by CO2, and we go by CO2 only. For natural gas, our CO2 percentages are 8.5% to 10.5%, and our propane is 9.5% to 11%. For this demonstration, we're doing natural gas. I will need to adjust my dip switches. Dip switch 6 and 7 is what we use for combustion setup. In dip switch 7 is our low fire, and dip switch 6 is a high fire. So our first test is going to be in high fire. We're going to throw that switch to the left-hand position or the on position and let the boiler modulate to high fire. Adjustments are only made in low fire. So if on our analyzer we're out of our range, and again this is natural gas that we're displaying on, that range is 8.5 to 10.5. So if we're out of range, we have to then go back to low fire to make the adjustment. Again, no adjustments are made in high fire. So with it in high fire, let's check our analyzer. So with the boiler locked into high fire, or max fire, we want to watch our CO2 percentage. So right now we're at 8.85%. Be patient with your analyzer. Some of these analyzers can take up to 3 minutes to balance out or 90 seconds to react. So we want to be patient, and our range again for this boiler for natural gas is going to be 8.5% to 10.5%. Now that we're completed with our high fire adjustment on CO2, we'll take dip switch 6, put that back in the normal position, and dip switch 7 is our low fire. Now we'll go in and check our low fire. So we'll put dip switch 7 to the on position. The boiler will modulate down. We'll go back to our analyzer and check our CO2 readings. So now that we've checked our high fire CO2, we've put the boiler now into low fire or min fire. We're going to let that balance out. And again, be patient with your analyzer. We want to make sure that low fire is between 8.5 and 10.5%. So if you do have to make a CO2 adjustment, right here in the gas valve there is a cap. It's a black cap with a Allen key. You can remove that cap And there is an adjustment screw right inside there. Also on the valve, there you'll see plus or minus arrows on the top of that valve. Clockwise increases, counterclockwise decreases your CO2. CO2 is only adjusted in low fire. So if we're out of range and we need to make an adjustment, we need to go back to low fire and make our CO2 adjustment here. Once your combustion setup is complete, make sure your dip switches go back in the normal position. Dip switch 6 and 7 should be in the right-hand position. Also, if you made adjustments, you may want to go back in and double check your high and low fire more than once. We're going to remove our combustion analyzer. Make sure you put the plug back into position, and it has to be in tight. If not, you're going to get condensation leaking down on top of the appliance. Make sure that's in position tight. You can power off your boiler, reconnect your outdoor reset, and put it back into normal operation. If you have any technical questions, please contact Bradford White Tech Support. Thank you.